Good morning. I'm Amy Goldman, Vice Chair of the Board of the University of St. Thomas Trustees, and it is my distinct honor and privilege to introduce your distinguished commencement speaker today. She is a technology and investment pioneer who continues to make her mark on Silicon Valley. Originally from Farmington, Minnesota, she received her undergraduate degree in mathematics and business administration from the College of St. Catherine, just down the street. In 1975, she earned a master's degree in education with an emphasis on international economics here at the University of St. Thomas. She then entered the workforce as a systems programmer at the Federal Reserve Bank. However, with an ambitious vision for the technology sector, she didn't stick around long. In 1976, she left the bank with 3 coworkers and a $500 investment to found Open Systems, Inc., which, from a Minneapolis office above Prince's recording studio, would revolutionize accounting software for the new microcomputers of the day. Guided by her savvy and pioneering ambition, the company took off, and by the time they sold the company in 1983, it was one of the largest software companies in the nation. By 1989, she co-founded the first venture capital firm to focus exclusively on software, Hummer Winblad Venture Partners. As a veteran investor, she has played a key role in Silicon Valley's boom and helped more than 160 companies take off. She no doubt founded and funded some of the software you use every day. In 2000, she was inducted as an inaugural member of the Fortune Small Business Hall of Fame. In 2007, she was awarded San Francisco's Financial Woman of the Year. Vanity Fair named her a top 50 leader of the new establishment, and Businessweek a top 25 power broker in Silicon Valley. She has received honors from St. Thomas, too. A John F. Cade Award for Entrepreneurship in 1997, an Honorary Doctor of Laws degree in 2001, and the Distinguished Alumna of the Year Award in 2003. Since 1998, she has generously shared her wisdom and experience as a member of the University of St. Thomas Board of Trustees. Today, this Minnesota native is widely regarded as a true pioneer of the software industry and a top visionary leader across the technology sector. Our speaker embodies the incredible talent and generosity that we have here at St. Thomas, qualities you as graduates will also bring to this special community of Tommy alums. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome my fellow trustee and dear friend, Ann Winblad.
Thank you, Amy, for that kind introduction. President Sullivan, Provost Plum, fellow trustees, accomplished alumni, esteemed faculty, faithful friends, proud families, and most of all, the graduating Tommies of 2018, good morning. I'm so honored to participate in this important day for you. I must say that all my friends and colleagues are thrilled I am finally giving this speech. They've grown weary of me asking, who spoke at your graduation, and do you remember what the speaker said? Most do not seem to remember the speaker or the message they delivered. Instead, they recalled the music they listened to, a secret escapade with one of their buddies, or sometimes a wistful story of unrequited love. I dare not share any of these stories with you today for fear I might incriminate one of your own family members. I must admit I cannot recall my own graduation speaker or the speech, but I do remember the music I listened to. I left college with few possessions. My most prized was my collection of vinyl albums. I still have this collection. Carole King's Tapestry, Joni Mitchell's Blue, The Doors' LA Woman, and my favorite, Pink Floyd, The Dark Side of the Moon. It seems that graduation quickly slips away as just a part of your history. I do, and I'm sure many in the audience today remember the world 45 years ago. The Vikings had won the NFC Championship. The U.S. Supreme Court in Roe versus Wade overturned state bans on abortion. The American Indian movement occupied Wounded Knee in South Dakota. Bobby Riggs challenged Margaret Court and defeated her. She was the #1 women's tennis player, leading to the historic Battle of the Sexes with Billie Jean King, part of Billie Jean's effort to focus on equal pay for women. The war in Vietnam was still raging. Large companies adopted affirmative action programs in hopes to focus on diversity, including hiring more women. This afforded me, a math and business major, with a handful of the brand new computer science classes at St. Thomas, the opportunity to interview for a lot of jobs that all seemingly were above my punching weight. That summer, Nixon would resign. The war in Vietnam would officially end in defeat. Billie Jean would defeat Bobby Riggs. A young Donald Trump would appear for the first time on the pages of the New York Times, accused by the Department of Justice for refusing to rent to or negotiate with black tenants. The economy, which had been glowing since my graduation day, it was called the Golden Age since World War II, would tank and enter a period of inflation. And sadly, the Vikings would go on to lose Super Bowl VII. Just as I was immersed in these events almost 5 decades ago that we now call history, I encourage you to take in the history that surrounds you today and reflect on how you yourself may shape it. Some of you will make history. All of you will create our future. It will be your continued commitment to diversity, inclusion, and social justice, what we Tommies call the common good, that will impact us all going forward. As the novelist and social critic James Baldwin said, and would certainly say today, history is never the past, it is the present, and we carry it within us. We are our history. Today, you'll commence a new journey, which I hope will be as surprising as mine. As Amy said, in the spring of '73, I accepted one of those affirmative action jobs as a well-paid, slightly underqualified systems analyst at the Federal Reserve Bank. My cubicle mate, Gary McKellick, who is here today with his graduating son, can attest to my meager coding skills. That same spring of '73, Bill Gates would graduate from high school. He did have better coding skills than me, I admit. Anticipating that he would be a math major at Harvard and go on to teach math. Steve Jobs was hanging out auditing liberal arts classes at Reed College. He had dropped out a semester earlier. The economy would go from bad to worse and would soon be labeled a recession. Yet in 1975, amidst this recession, Bill Gates dropped out of Harvard to start Microsoft. Steve Jobs moved back to Silicon Valley to work with Steve Wozniak to start Apple in his garage. I resigned my job at the Federal Reserve Bank to start a software company. All 3 of us walked away from any known career path to menial, or in my case, non-existent salaries, and also with my student loans still intact. I'm always asked what I was thinking in leaving my good job. My father, a high school basketball teacher who used his master's degree from St. Thomas in his later years as a guidance counselor, gave me the answer to this question, and I hope to share his wisdom with you today. Growing up in a household of 6 children, we had order, but no strict rules. When asked what any guidelines were, my father said one and only one thing: Ann, use your own good judgment. As a small child, the burden of accepting the responsibility for all of my life's decisions was terrifying. But I've learned over time the greatness of this gift my father gave me. In preparing for this speech and thinking about you and your journey ahead, I reread a piece from the author Joan Didion, part of her 1968 collection, Slouching Towards Bethlehem. It is titled, On Self-Respect. Quote, "People with self-respect exhibit a certain toughness, a kind of moral nerve. They display what was once called character, a quality which, although approved in the abstract, sometimes loses ground to other more negotiable virtues. Nonetheless, character, the willingness to accept responsibility for one's own life, is a source from which self-respect springs. To have the sense for one's intrinsic worth, which for better or worse constitutes self-respect, is potentially to have everything: the ability to discriminate, to love, and to remain indifferent. To lack it is to be locked within oneself, paradoxically incapable of either love or indifference." Over the years, I got to know both Steve Jobs and Bill Gates. They possessed this moral nerve, the toughness, the self-respect, the character that Joan describes, the quality you will need most in your journey forward. I've spent the last 30 years of my life as a venture capitalist in Silicon Valley. I audition the future every day. My job is to give money to entrepreneurs who convince me of a promising opportunity. To make these investments, I must always view the glass as half full. I must view uncertainty and complexity as signposts to a great opportunity. But predicting the future is impossible, and in the end, I must trust only my judgment. In some ways, my class of 1973 resembles your class of 2018. Like some of you, I was an eager learner from a small Midwest town. Many in my class, like the more than 200 graduates in the class of 2018, were the first in their family to receive college degrees. We're all gifted with an education from this wonderful university, and we can all thank our families and generous donors who shared the fruits of their hard work to make it possible for us to get a college education. But you, class of 2018, are quite different. You already are entrepreneurs. No undergraduates in my class of 1973 had already started a business, like your classmates, Scott, Mohammed, Sarah, Tariq, Chris, Declan, Andrew, and probably more I do not know about. You have a global perspective. Some of you coming from abroad, and almost 40% of you studying abroad. I had not boarded a plane or left the United States until after I graduated from college. You are changemakers. Most of my class, like me, and likely many of you, had part-time jobs, but you've also done extraordinary community service. You have powerful tools that Steve, Bill, and I could only imagine. You are connected not just to information, but to billions of people with one small, powerful device you can activate with just your voice or the look of your face. The only electronic devices popular when I graduated were the new handheld calculators. I did not have one. I must admit I bought a turntable instead. But you too will now audition the future every single day. You are much more prepared to absorb history, seek complexity and uncertainty, and see the world as a glass half full. You are ready to make the choices that will change our history. You are ready to trust and use your own good judgment. I did pull out my treasured Pink Floyd album while working on this speech. While I still do have a turntable to play vinyl on, I just called out to Alexa, on my Amazon Echo to play one of my favorite songs. The song is called Breathe in the Air, so let me close with these lyrics. Breathe. Breathe in the air. Leave. Don't leave me. Look around. Choose your own ground. For long you live and high you fly. Smiles you'll give and tears you'll cry. All you touch and all you see is all your life will ever be. May you all fly on the wings of your own good judgment and change history for all of us. Congratulations and God bless to the 2018 class of St. Thomas.